Day, and there's two of us. Usually there's four, sometimes there's three, other times there's two. So we are down from the Fatal Four to the Warriors 3 to the Awesome 2, I guess. I don't know. That works.
Terrific 2.
That's right. So we get some cool stuff to talk about. We're back. From last week, we had a brief show. Oh, not brief. It was an hour, which I guess is brief for us. But we got some great topics, as is normally the case. There's a lot of cool stuff that's come out through the week. News, reveals, all that type of stuff. And we are coming up right before D23. So I think next week, there'll be a lot more information. Like there's some the Mandalorian trailer should be out officially tomorrow, and a whole slew of other information for D23. So we're right before that. Usually when there's a big event, there's a little bit of a lull in the news releases, at least for whoever's presenting. So that's why, there is something big with Marvel and Sony this week we'll talk about. But outside of that, there isn't a whole lot in terms of movement and news. They're kind of holding everything for this weekend. That being said, we do have some really cool stuff to talk about in the genre, in our fandom, I guess, but not specifically comics. But we do have I don't know if you read the next installment in the Hickman series. We could talk about that. But also today we had Marvel put out the solicitations for November, and there's some awesome stuff on there. It ties into Hickman stuff, those first couple issues for the stuff coming out. And then something really cool that I'm excited for I don't want to get too far ahead. Burying the lead there. So,
okay.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and screen share that stuff when we get to it. And then Kevin Smith's got a new project that he's doing with Mark Bernardin. Yeah, I love that. So we'll get into all that. What have you been up to in the past week? I do want to give a shout out to you though, because I did see you put up a couple haul videos, so I like that you're getting back to it. So yeah,
3 videos since our last show here. So yeah, that's pretty much been it. It was haul videos and catching up, basically.
Yeah.
So I think I'm actually caught up as far as like new books and things like that. So now we can just kind of move forward and do other things also. So Jackio's already asking me to make that 90s image collection.
Yeah.
Which, I think everybody will cry watching that video. It's so beautiful. I mean,
you think you have like all of the runs?
Well,
No,
I mean, not complete. Oh, okay. I'm missing like little bits, but hopefully I'm going to hook up with Brian, and he's going to help me fill in some of those last little bits, because I've got the vast majority of the first volume of everything. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Some books only made it up to like 30 something. Some didn't make it to 10. Some made it to 50. They're all over the place.
Youngblood, at least the first volume, that didn't make it that far. It was like
it made it to like 7 or 9 before it switched. See,
right, yeah.
Who knows? It was so, because he quit that was the weird thing about that, is he was all Youngblood, and then that started to slow down, and he pushed Teen Youngblood, the spinoff book.
That's right.
That one got up to like 20 or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was kind of hard to keep track with all the delays. There was so many delays back then with stuff. Some of that stuff, like especially with what was the big event that they did with Valiant?
Oh, Deathmate.
Yeah, that was a big old mess. Right?
That and like that goes back to like the big thing. I don't know if you watched one of the documentaries, they talk about that caused Valiant to go bankrupt.
Mm-hmm.
It was because of the delays on the image side.
Exactly. Yeah. It was a big mess. It was a big mess. So
crazy stuff. But yeah, there were other events. There were in Rob Liefeld's Extreme Studios, they had like an Extreme Sacrifice.
Oh I remember that banner
storyline. Yeah. But that I don't know if some of the books still just never came out.
To this day, right?
They're just
We're still waiting on them.
Got a couple tie-in loose ends, but never gonna happen. So.
Yeah. Damn cliffhangers. Comics are supposed to answer those questions for us. So, all right, cool. I'm actually just so you know, I'm going to be going on vacation next week. So I'm not sure about the show for next week, but because of D23, we're going to figure something out. So just don't know what that's going to look like right now. So just want to let you guys know that. But that being said, I am putting out scheduling out some videos, so those will be coming out next week. Some cool stuff, more of the GI Joe stuff, which seems to be taking off on the channel here, and quite frankly is a lot of fun to put those together. So got plenty more of those on the way. So if you're here watching and you're one of the folks that came over for the GI Joe stuff, tons more on the way. So just want to put that out there. But that's kind of what I've been doing. I didn't get a chance to go to the shop, even though, and we talked about this briefly, it's not a 5th week, but it was a really light week for some reason. Like I was looking at what I should have in my pull box with Brian B over at Phil's Comic Shop. And there's not much. There's just a couple books. So I'll have to see what happens there. So that's that. And then when the others get here, we can see what they're up to. I know Chris had a convention, I think he said, wasn't he? Yeah, he was at a convention.
He was at Fan Expo.
Yeah, that's right. He was in line for like Todd McFarlane and stuff. So cool stuff. Jackie wants a video on Cobra Civil War. I think there was a couple Civil Wars. So yeah, that was a pretty crazy time. A lot of because that took over all the title. Everybody's story, like the individual stories, kind of weave in and out of that big event when you had Cobra Commander and Serpentor going at each other. So yeah, pretty wild. But let's get into the topics because we don't want to drag this on too long. Yeah. So I was watching Krypton over on SyFy for a while, and it was a pretty cool show. We got to the 2nd season. It was a neat sort of take. I remember we were kind of following along with the whole story with the reveals, and last year they were talking about San Diego, that is, or maybe 2 years ago, I guess it would be. They were talking about who would be on the show, right? With Adam Strange and, all these people who would be kind of like traveling to the past to kill the grandfather, like, the Terminator plot style. Right. And we got to see it. It was actually pretty cool the way they did it with the different the houses and stuff. I liked it. Some of the and
Lobo.
Yeah. And then we had Lobo this year. I guess. Right, with season 2, and they had Lobo, pretty cool, good, live action iteration of Lobo. I like the guy. He got his best speeches down pretty well, and they were supposed to do a spin-off series for it, but unfortunately, both of those, Krypton is canceled, and SyFy actually passed on the Lobo series. They said, thanks, but no thanks, we're not going to do it. It's still on the table. What they want to do is shop it around for another network, and I have it here. So I'll just read this to you. SyFy renewed the series for a 2nd season in May, after Krypton ranked as the network's best premiere in more than 3 years. And its most watched debut series in 4 years. So that's pretty cool. Season 1 is on DC Universe, the streaming service. So you can watch it there. And then the other stuff, like the 2nd seasons or whatever, is going to go to the platform in next year in 2020. So then they had the series. They're like, hey, let's do that. It worked pretty well. Whoops, I said series and then Siri came up. So like damn it. And they said here, Lobo has also been passed over at SyFy. Producers Warner Horizon will shop the project about the comic book character played by Emmett Scanlon to other outlets. Lobo was introduced, like we were just talking about, in season 2 of Krypton. The spinoff is overseen by showrunner Karen Walsh. That's irrelevant. And this is coming on the heels of Happy and Deadly Class being canceled as well. So interesting that they're kind of closing out all this comic book stuff. And I'm going to add Chris to the stream here. So there we go. And try different formats. No, that makes me big. I don't want to be big. There we go. We'll just leave it on that. So I don't know. I'm kind of disappointed in it. But I have a feeling that I I have a there you go. I have a feeling that that they're trying to pull things in house, sort of like Marvel's doing. So I suspect like a Lobo series could very well end up on DC Universe or the larger streaming thing, which would be HBO Max, which is the Warner platform that will be coming out soon. And then Jackie O says Krypton was cool. I enjoyed season 2. Bummed. And then first, Deadly Class was awesome, man. I really liked that. That was so cool. Yeah.
They messed up with that. So I don't know what Sci-Fi is doing. Are they realigning to go like they're cutting anything that's not, and they're going to go like maybe they've got new Sci-Fi shows, or are they just like changing format and just going to be running like reruns of old episodes of old things or something, because they're cutting everything new they got. Like The Expanse was the best thing they had, and that went away. That's
such a good show.
So I don't know what they're doing.
Maybe they'll do like a new season of Babylon 5 or something. I don't know.
Babylon 6?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they would have to, because they blew the thing up at the end of the first one, or the end of the series, right? I never watched the show, but I've watched like people make those like retrospective videos about a series or something, and I'm like, I don't want to watch this, but I want to know what it was about.
Exactly. Yeah. You hear that noise? It's an Amber Alert. We got an Amber Alert down here.
Oh no.
Yeah. So Jackie O says happy that makes sense. And then Iron Galactus said he liked The Expanse too. It's such good sci-fi. I always recommend that. People are like, I want a good sci-fi. I tried out Orville. I tried out maybe Star Trek Discovery. What else is good? What is in that genre? And I always say, try The Expanse. It's really good. That's probably
something else I just finished on Sci-Fi was the newish series, I guess, Another Life, with Katie Sackhoff, who was Starbuck in Battlestar Galactica.
I haven't seen that. It's good.
Dude, I enjoyed it. It's like it's sci-fi, but it's not that far distant future. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so a lot of the sci-fi-ness in it is stuff that's probably going to happen pretty soon anyway. Yeah. So it's kind of believable in some of that effects. Plus, it also has Selma Blair in it. So everybody, loves Cruel Intentions. She was in Hellboy, and she, unfortunately, I don't know if we've mentioned this. I think we have. She's got Parkinson's, like Michael J. Fox. So this may be like the last role that she's able to really, really fully play in. And she does a great job in it. If you're looking for a pretty cool sci-fi series, definitely check out Another Life on Netflix.
Yeah.
And then if it's bad, you can, blame me for making you watch it. But just burn through a couple episodes and then you're sunk in for the full 10. It's only 10. So.
Okay, that's not bad. Yeah, that's palatable. Iron Galactus recommended Altered Carbon. Altered Carbon. That's a pretty good show. It's very, very... Netflix seems to do this very sort of like Blade Runner sort of vibe, with their shows. So there's a couple of them. Like Mute is another one that has Joel Kinnaman in it. I think it's Joel Kinnaman. And he's this guy. His wife works at a bar and she like disappears, but he can't talk. And it's in the near future. And it has that same sort of like those cityscapes with the big like holographs and the LEDs but it's like dirty and grungy. Yeah, exactly. But that seems to be like sort of the vibe that Netflix goes for their shows. Except, well, I don't know if it counts, but there was one called Mother that just came out, and that actually kind of took place in like a bunker almost. And it had
but the robot lady.
Yeah, and she took care of this girl, and it was interesting. So talking about sci-fi, that actually leads us to the next thing we're going to talk about. So back in right around the time when I first started getting into college, met a couple of friends, and we just spent a few many afternoons with some beers and some popcorn watching The Matrix. And those kind of dwindled off at the end. But that first movie is still probably up there as one of my favorites of all time. Like, it's so cool. And after all this time, after the animated series, after everything, finally have news that there's going to be a 4th installment to the Matrix franchise. So that's pretty cool. Keanu Reeves is set to return as Neo. And then you also have Carrie-Anne Moss, who was over on Netflix for a while, right, in the Marvel shows. She's coming back as Trinity, and Lena Wachowski, one half of the former Wachowski brothers, is actually going to be returning to co-write and direct as well. So you have that same cast, and the Wachowskis did write the originals, so that they're coming back to do this again. So it's not like their baby got passed off to somebody else, so to speak. So you'll still, hopefully, get that same sort of look and feel. If you enjoyed the first ones, this shouldn't be too dissimilar to those, other than obviously like CGI, technology updates to make it bigger and better. So yeah, what do you guys think? Matrix 4? Think it's too late for that? I mean, we always, like, for example, with Avatar or some of these shows, it's like, yeah, we're getting a sequel or we're getting a reboot, but does anybody care anymore? Is it too late? So I kind of wonder that with the Matrix as well. Has it been too long since the last one? Right? Because it's not a reboot. They're going for, it's called Matrix 4, so it's still.
So does it? Here's the question: does it take place 7 days after the last movie?
Pick right up, yeah.
Is Neo a Christ-like character?
Yeah, maybe like they were talking about at the end, how like everything kind of like resets.
Yeah, and
so it could be that.
Reset it. Oh, he just wakes back up in it, and he's like, no.
Did you guys see the Maze Runner?
Yeah,
not the YA adaptation.
I only saw the first 2.
Okay. They're pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
But the world progressively gets bigger and bigger, right? They're in this world, and there's the maze. Then they get outside the maze, and then there's this whole other, political maze, if you will. So what if you find that world, like Neo wakes up and he's in the world with everything, but what if that is also part of the Matrix? Like waking up in that world, you're still in the Matrix, and there's another world outside of that.
Ugh, that would be
right.
That would explain why he still had power.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's only thinking he has power because it's part of the program.
Good deal.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
And they could just keep doing that, So, yeah.
I mean, after this long, I'm sure, like you guys, like when the first one came out, it was awesome. The mistake they made with that movie was waiting the couple years between writing the first one and it coming out, and then writing the next 2, because they lost the vibe a little bit,
Yeah.
Or, they weren't really writing the first one thinking it was going to be a trilogy. They gave us a whole story in that first one, really, and just kind of expanded upon that for the second.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. Yes, I would like to see a continuation of that story and see what happens next, because it is a weird thing to bring those characters back, because we did see, if it's not going to be a reboot, it's not going to be a prequel in any way, which it can't be because we saw the whole story apparently. Trinity's dead. Neo's dead. So how do they come back? That's going to be crazy to see.
Yeah. I think my theory might be out there, but it would explain that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's possible. I know. I mean, yeah, Trinity is very dead. Neo, I mean, you assume that he died. I mean, as far as
they carried him off to Avalon like King Arthur.
Yeah, so it's just I mean, I think it depends on what they try to do. I mean, if that's the explanation they're going to go for, meaning that showing that it was really the story inside of a story, and that's how they beat this first part of things to and now there's another whole other world that you have to really get into. I mean, that's the only way I could see it happening, just because it doesn't seem like it would make too much sense of the fact that they did all that. It's been so long, and then I mean, I don't know. I almost wonder if it's if it's better just to continue on without Neo and them, and just kind of see how life has evolved from that point. Because I mean, when did the last Matrix movie come out? 2005, 2006? Probably earlier than that.
Exactly.
When the Cadillac CTS came out, so like a year after that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a long time. It's just
marker for it.
I mean, amazingly, I mean, the first one still holds up very, very well. The second one, third one has its moments of being pretty cool, but I mean, for the most part, I feel like I've always felt like that was a movie they should have ended on the first one, even though they innuendoed and they said, we're watching, we're coming for you, all that type of stuff. They should have just ended it right there, just because it was a perfect point. It was just such a good movie, and they could have ended it and just left it. I mean, I know there was money on the table, and there was no way that they were going to walk away from that, but sometimes I think it's kind of better just to just walk off.
Yeah. So it's coming though, so they're not going to.
No,
unfortunately. Yeah, but I don't know. I think it'll be pretty cool. I like that type of, they add in a lot of mythology and these other elements, pseudo-religious sort of connections there. So I don't know. It's pretty cool to me.
Yeah, and there's still a lot they can do there. I mean, it's just like, even though it was the 3 movies and it spanned a bunch of time, I mean, we didn't get to know so much about that world. I mean, there was still a lot of, just because we come in right in the middle of the story. We don't even really know the full extent of what's going on in that whole world.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it did take a turn when they went the whole chosen one, Neo Christ storyline. Kind of took a turn there. So EO says continue with the Animatrix series. That would be interesting.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, that was good. That was good.
Yeah. So talking about long-running series, we got finally news, and I've said this on the show. I'm a huge fan of this franchise, but it's not necessarily something that fits within our normal scope of what we talk about, although there have been some licensed comic book properties. And that is Bond 25. You got Daniel Craig coming back, which is awesome. But we have, and this is usually it's a big thing for Star Wars, but it's also a huge thing for the Bond world as well, Bond fans, when they reveal the title of the next one. So that was what we got this week, I think it was. And the title for Bond 25, which there'll be 25 movies in all, is called No Time to Die. That's the title for it. That's pretty cool. You have Cary Fukunaga as directing, and then I had to write it down. You have Rami Malek, who you saw in Bohemian Rhapsody. Leia Seydoux in it. Ana de Armas, who I really like as an actress, and Lashana Lynch as well, who you've seen in the news a couple times. She was obviously Photon in Captain Marvel. So pretty cool cast. You get your Bond girls, you got everything there. And it was supposed to come out originally it was slated to come out in October of this year. I was about to say a month. I just wanted to make sure my time frame was right. But then they were filming. Daniel Craig actually hurt himself. He hurt his ankle or something like that. So they had to delay it. And it's actually coming out here in the U.S. in April of 2020. So we got a little bit of time before that comes up. Apparently my volume's too low. So let's see. Is that better? Can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
I get you fine. I have no problem.
Okay. Let me just look.
The mute section on my own, just in case, interruptions.
Okay.
Yeah. Not too distracting.
So let me know, guys, in the chat if that's better. I can hear. Okay, Peter can hear me. Peter Porker says I can hear it. So okay, perfect. I was just rambling on and on about Bond, James Bond. Yep. No Time to Die. It's an awesome title, if you ask me. It's pretty cool, and it fits right within that realm of what they're typically called. Although I can't think of. Okay, thank you, sweet. He says it's fine. I can't think, because usually what they do is they pull the titles from the books. It's like chapter name, or there were some that were like a mini series. There's just a couple left that haven't actually been used.
Right. That's what I was thinking. It's like, well, they got to be getting close to using them all up at this point, though. Yeah. Unless they do start just going like chapter names,
Well, that's literally what some of them were. Like I think I'd have to look. I have the whole set over there. There's a couple of them that were just chapter names. And then there was one that was actually the name of a bar. in one of the movies. But yeah, they're I don't remember what it was, and I would have to. I didn't prepare that much for the show, admittedly.
Oh,
so yeah, no, shame on me.
Disappointment.
Yeah, I know. What was I thinking?
Cat.
But I don't know. Are you guys Bond fans? Do you like?
Yeah, I mean, I've always
Bond
been a Bond fan. I just grew up watching them like everybody else. So, and yeah, since Daniel Craig took over, I've really enjoyed it. I like his Bond. I think it was a good change of pace and something that the character needed. Whereas, of course, if you remember when he took over, everybody freaked out too. So
yeah, exactly.
He's blonde. Oh my gosh! Oh, he doesn't fit the normal. He's not like a chiseled, hunk like the rest of them were or something. He didn't have that like super good looks, I guess is what they were saying in the beginning. But now he's like a super sex icon or whatever. So there you go.
Yeah.
According to you. No.
Well, yeah.
But we got news of the 007, the female 007. Remember that? We were talking about that a couple months ago.
Yep.
And that's Lashana Lynch. She's going to be a 007, not Bond, but a 007. She's using that that designation, at least for some time.
So does that mean that there's like also a female 006 and a female 005?
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
It's like the Weapon X program. He's number 10, but yeah, they referred to it a couple times. Some of the other Bonds.
Yeah. Like in GoldenEye.
Yeah.
We got like 3 other 00s in that movie.
Yeah. That's they have them all there. And we talked about this, but the name Bond itself, I believe, is a code name. Various people come up, these agents, and they take on that name. And that's why he's like out on missions, and he's like, and they're like, "What's your name?" And he's like, so eager to say like Bond, James Bond. You know what I mean? That's because it's not his real name, and that also explains why there could be multiple actors as the character, right? And that will also explain when Idris Elba takes over. I'm still on board with that.
Still holding out hope on that one.
Yeah. I think that will happen.
I don't know.
Yeah.
How old is he now?
I don't know. They can do an old man Bond thing. Well, I mean, this one, like the whole thing with Lashana Lynch and the female is he's old. They talked about that in the last movie. Like, are you like relevant anymore? Are you still able to keep up with your your PT and everything? So we had some challenges with that. So this one, he's either like on like a I don't know what you call it, like a shore leave or whatever, or he's fully retired, and that's why Lashana Lynch comes up as the new 00. But obviously Daniel Craig's in it, so he's going to be kind of pulled back into the action.
Maybe, that, or maybe he's taking up a role as like an M or something. Maybe he'll do something.
Yeah. You call it.
That'd be a good way to keep him in the movies,
Yeah, because the M stood for like Mallory for a while, right? And then I think it was when Dame Judi Dench took over. I think it was like Maggie or something like that. So if he takes over, they'd have to make it a B, right, for Bond, and then they could just be like, "What a B."
Or it would just be a new title. Now he's M, and his name's Michael.
Yeah.
No,
yeah. They have to keep the M, and I know the Q is quartermaster, so that's more of a role,
title.
Versus like a name. So cool. So that's coming out in April. Next thing is, of course, another long-running franchise, Star Wars. I know TiVo's talked about this quite a bit over on his channel, some of the stuff coming up. We are, of course, getting some Star Wars news tomorrow with The Mandalorian, and then, of course, throughout the weekend for the various other shows that are coming out. But we are, and hopefully we'll get more on this. Maybe they'll walk him out on stage. He's a fan favorite. Ewan McGregor is set to return as Obi-Wan Kenobi. So that's really cool. There was, before Solo, there was talk about an Obi-Wan movie, a bunch of movies, Boba Fett, for example, and when Solo didn't do so well, obviously we've talked about that so many times. They kind of needed to re-strategize. They're like, okay, let's slow down. Maybe not so many movies. Maybe not all these like anthology side stories to the saga. What can we do? So they took these ideas and they said we still want these things to happen, but we're planning this platform, the streaming service. So let's move some of that content over to there. Give people their Star Wars, but give the theatrical releases a bit of a break. I think they finally realized that with the movies, they're awesome, but when they come out, people complain so much. So the best time to be a Star Wars fan, it kind of seems like, is between the movies when everyone's waiting, and they're
It's just
that
speculation
gap.
time.
Yeah, exactly. So that they understand the importance of that gap and letting things brew, and you know what I mean. So you can still do that and then give people sort of whet their appetite by giving them all this content on the streaming platform. So pretty much a best of both worlds, right?
Right.
Yeah. So yeah. So Obi-Wan, awesome. I don't know what else to say.
I'm excited for that. And the Mandalorian, like the movies, I just I don't know, because
Yeah.
I finally made myself watch Solo like 2 weeks ago. Finally, it was on Netflix, and I was like, I might as well.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I found it to be. This is kind of how I felt like with the prequels. They were okay, right? But it seemed like they were to serve more of like, let's get these questions answered. Like how did Chewie and Han meet? How did he get his blaster pistol? How did this and that happen? What was the Kessel Run? So it served more to just check off some boxes of some unanswered questions than to really tell like this unique sort of compelling story. And I think that was one of the things that I would fault the prequels with, is that they were doing the same thing, all this lead up stuff. How did this happen? And they were more concerned with that and building towards what we already know, versus, like I said, telling like a unique, great story and on their own. So I don't know, that's just my take on it. But
I think they went way too Game of Thrones with that movie, where they just like, we have to kill everybody. Everybody in this movie has to die. Well, I mean, before the end of the movie, they all have to die.
That's the same thing with what's it called? The Rogue One. I mean, even though they by saying like, oh yeah, these people are all gonna, but like, you didn't have to. I mean, not everybody knew that was exactly what happened. And I think that, I mean, I still would love to see, like, I know how everyone's like, oh, what was the original vision? What was the original story? Because I know it was supposed to be a dark story, but like it wasn't supposed to be like, it was. I think she was supposed to like really infiltrate and like become just a double agent for the Empire. So she was gonna do like messed up, she's gonna end up being on runs and doing stuff, and she would have had to actually go against the rebels, to be, but like, I mean, that's how
Jan
heard. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, I feel like that's pretty much the way they go, because that's the easiest way to, that's the easiest way to kind of clean things up at the end. Is just like, oh yeah, like and so all these people are dead, and the ones that obviously make it out of the movies, yeah, like they'll get away and everything, but everybody else is just like, it doesn't really seem like it's that good of a way to kind of go, and it's a really, really, really easy out. That's I think where some people might get a little upset with it, which is like it's just too easy to tie it all up and like, oh yeah,
it just kind of, the whole movie just left me like disappointed in the characters. I'm like, really? You fell for it again? Really?
Exactly.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, and you're leaving now? Oh, okay. Well, of course that's Chewie. Why wouldn't it be Chewie? Okay. Well, there we go. It was like there were things that were tied up in there that were a little too nicely tied,
Exactly. It was awfully convenient,
And that's where I think that's where making a prequel or making something that's supposed to be standalone, but still a standalone story within an established character, that's where it gets kind of tough, because it's like it's so tempting just to be like, and just wrap this up in a nice little bow, and
right. No, the best thing about the new Star Wars movie coming out, though, is all of the crazy speculation. Like, I saw somebody write like a whole article about how Rey is gonna somehow raise the old Death Star back into orbit.
All right.
I was like, okay,
I will watch that.
Clearly are ridiculous.
Yeah.
Just the whole thing.
She's gonna put it back together too.
Get off of
I think the most the craziest force ship move I remember is when was it the Force Unleashed when he took a Star Destroyer down. But raise the Death Star. Let's do it. Let's see it.
Yeah.
That would kill her easily. The Death Star, you know how big that thing is? And on top of that, it's all over space. How's she gonna do that?
There was talking. There was talking the Last Jedi about. You remember that giant? It's funny. About 8 months before that movie came out, we talked about this on one of our shows, that there'd be like a giant triangle ship, and that would be like a basically the Death Star version. And there was that giant. It was his command ship, right? There was talk about either a ship like that or a Star Destroyer crashing on Octu, and Luke raising that out of the ocean.
Yeah.
So it's very similar to what you were saying for this movie. So, and then there's theories like Iron Galactus said, Rey is a clone of Anakin. She could be. There's talk, and one of the things I made a video about a while back about how she could be related in some capacity to Palpatine, who's coming back. There's that. And then there's talk about like with these new Sith troopers, the red stormtroopers.
Yep. Hip-hop trooper.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Mr. Adidas. So who knows, at this point it's all speculation, but that's what I mean. Like that part of it, like the fandom is fun, like all the speculation. It's crazy or like, it makes sense. It's fun to kind of try to piece everything together,
Yeah. Because it's the best is when people got to go back and eat their words on it and be like, wow. So,
yeah,
because I can tell you, I remember it used to be big like that for like music releases when I was in high school. I can't, there was a couple of albums and stuff that people crazy anticipating on, like all these Wu-Tang like second albums and stuff like that, and like, oh yeah, like this album's called this and that one's called this one and it's coming out next week, you'll see, and it was just, then you have to go back and see him in school and be like, so, the Raycon album that was supposed to come out last week, what happened? I don't think they push it back. I'm like, what is your source on all this guy? But it was just, you start hearing all this crazy stuff, and it's like, what I'm surprised that people don't do is do like a show after the movie comes out and just be like, all right, so we're going to go to Twitter or wherever and just kind of go through the theories and be like, all right, and just pick maybe the top 10 just most outlandish to have no, and it's just like, so this is a theory that came up, and just be like,
yeah, fun just to that watch. One didn't pan out well.
It's like, people actually thought that this was gonna happen. I think that'd be kind of fun to do.
That would be funny. Yeah. TiVo over at Lords of the Long Box, he had his Black Knight, telling him that apparently, and it's been speculated on in the plenty of times with Knights of the Old Republic, so that might be something that they're going to do. There's a couple of trilogies in the works, but more specifically to that would be Mara Jade. I think that's pretty cool. So hopefully that pans out.
They've wanted it, or as far as I've heard rumors about it, it seems like people have wanted a Mara Jade movie for a while, just because you want to see how she ends up marrying Luke and all the rest of it, and just in general, just to see her perspective on everything. So that's cool.
Exactly. And, I think that there's so much awesomeness that's stored away over in Legends that they could pull from, and if they start doing that with some of the stuff, and they have a little bit, but they'll just cherry pick with a couple of things here and there. But like the I don't know.
I think it would be hilarious, and I wouldn't be disappointed at all if it turned out that Rey's one of Lando's kids.
That would be. And I was thinking, come on, I sold you for beer money.
That's right. I traded you. I lost you in that poker game.
That would make sense. That would make complete sense. Yeah. So, Jackie, I'll put it up on the screen. He wants a Thrawn trilogy. Yeah.
I remember the Thrawn trilogy. I I remember hearing like people, being like really into that. And then does that tie into the Shadows of the Empire video game? Because I remember people were just like, this would have been a great movie. I never played it, but I heard like that would have been an amazing movie, and people were just like really really into that. So I don't know if that ties into Thrawn or not, but I mean, there's just a ton that they can go to. That's not necessarily that. I guess Thrawn though still is kind of Skywalker, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that they kind of wanted to walk away from that. I don't know how you really can, but
yeah, we'll have to see. But he's canon now. He's not, he's officially in canon, so they can use him. Okay, cool. So let's move on to the next thing here, and that is this. This came from CNET. That's where I read it first, so that's where I'm gonna scroll through. Netflix is going to be doing sort of an anime update for He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, and this is going to be it's written by Kevin Smith with his good friend Mark Bernardin attached as well, and you can see here some of the art with the power sword. And that's pretty much it. Okay, here we go. It's called Revelation. Let's see if we can click on
Revelation.
This.
Yeah. The tie-up or just tie-up storylines from the original. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go. So that's it. So that's pretty cool. There's a lot of news, around Masters of the Universe with. There's this. There's a mini series coming out in November from Tim Seeley that's going to touch on like the multiverse and a bunch of things around, multiple He-Mans. So that's pretty cool. And then of course, I think it's part of the marketing, I guess you could say, for the movie coming out in 2021 with Noah Centineo. But we got some time to go before we get to it. So how do I go back?
He's the most powerful man in the universe.
Yeah,
so, I mean
that's why he's the master of it.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah,
I'm excited for this mainly because I've heard that the art is not going to look like the new She-Ra series in any way whatsoever.
Yes.
It's actually going to look like what an action adventure fantasy hero animated series should look like. Exactly, so as long as that is what it is, then I'm all in.
Yeah, exactly. Kevin Smith said, how punny he can be. He said, "I'm eternally grateful to Mattel TV and Netflix for entrusting me with not only the secrets of Grayskull, but also their entire universe. In Revelation, we pick up right where the classic era left off to tell an epic tale of what may be the final battle between He-Man and Skeletor. This is Masters of the Universe story you always wanted to see as a kid." So...
just because I'm telling you, like I've said this a million times, and there's enough evidence with movie titles and everything to back this up. Those buzzwords, revelation, extreme, evolution, salvation, all those buzzwords usually lead to suckitude. I'm sorry, like that. I hope it doesn't. I hope it's good, but this would be like the first that I've ever, the first that I've been consciously paying attention to that's not been horrible. That has one of those stupid buzzwords behind it. Like anytime I even see those, I automatically write it off. So I'm just like, this is going to be terrible. So I don't know. I just, why couldn't they just call it like, something, just call it Masters of the Universe. Leave it at that. Revelation, don't like it. I already don't like, I hate the name enough that I kind of don't want to see it just for the fact that the name just.
Here's the question though. All right. So this is going to take place and answer things that happened after the original series. Is he going to take into account any of the history that was given to us in the series that came out in 2010 or whenever that was that came out on Cartoon Network?
Not sure.
Because they told us how Skeletor got his face and all that kind of stuff. They gave us a little bit more. So I wonder if that's going to be taken into account or not.
Yeah, there's a couple contradictory things, like with Tila and how Evelyn, her backstory sometimes, so it's hard to say what is actually canon and what's not in that franchise, I believe. So,
all right, everybody, that's what we're going to do. Everybody's going to tweet Kevin Smith and ask him, if that series is involved or not, or if he's just going off the original 80s series alone.
Yeah.
That's what we need to know. We need to know.
It's a good question. So I really wanted to jump into this next thing. I'm actually really excited for a couple of these things. I'm going to talk about. Let me do my banner. I made the banner. Let me do the banner. We're going to Marvel's November 2019 solicitations. There's some really cool stuff in here. One of which, and I'll just kind of bury the lead here, is 2099 is coming back, folks. The 2099 universe is returning, and we're going to take a look at it right now. They just released some of these the details as well as can you see it? Okay. As well as some of the cover art, which is awesome. Like we're going to see it in a minute. There's actually part of 2099 is Conan.
Mm-hmm.
Conan 29. It looks like he has a lightsaber. But anyways,
got a laser sword. He's either got a lightsaber or he got the Black Knight's laser sword from the 90s.
Yeah. So this is a couple of these we knew were coming. This is like one of the relaunch after the Hickman miniseries. So there's magic there. I'll be getting that. New Mutants. There's a couple covers. So we can skip ahead. That's Hickman doing that one. X-Force. What's that? Quentin Quire there. I don't know who Ben Percy is. But Kid Omega seems to be pretty important to the miniseries. So if you notice, a lot of these teams have this one looks pretty cool, but I like this cover better. Ashley Witter did this. She did the X-23 covers as well as Dr. Aphra. So that's her artwork. Fallen Angels. That's with them. Just trying to get down. Okay, this one is actually X-Men proper. This is fighting some monsters on Krakoa. So that sounds like a little bit of a follow-up to the miniseries, sort of attacking.
Excalibur. I think everybody's excited for this one.
The weirdest one ever.
With Apocalypse,
makes
all people.
But you got Jubilee, you got Gambit, you got Rogue, you got Psylocke as Captain Britain. Like, that'd be 6 series.
Yeah, she was very early on. She took over for her brother for a time, like a long time ago.
Yeah, did you say Benjamin Percy?
Yeah, I believe that's what I said.
Yeah, he was writing Green Arrow when Rebirth started, and it was really good.
Oh, okay. Here's these two. White Queen.
Hellfire Club.
Jerry Duggan. There you go. Hellfire Trading Company. That was their financiers.
Uh-huh.
And this is interesting. They're actually bringing back Annihilation for a little bit of storyline. So you're going to get some more Annihilation, which I think is interesting because it does have Nova on it. There's Beta Ray Bill.
Beta Ray Bill, baby!
Doesn't his face look a little bit like Beetlejuice, one of the parents?
Yeah, he's gone a little too crazy there. Some people can draw Beta Ray Bill very well. Some people are not really sure what to do.
Yeah. But I don't know. I still think Annihilation's going to play into Phase 5, maybe, And then there's talk about Nova still. Same with Silver Surfer. Same with the Fantastic Four. They're like, same with everybody on this cover is talked about to be in Phase 4 or Phase 5.
Yeah.
So that's funny. And this is there he is. Ariel Olivetti, I think is the artist. So that's pretty cool. And that's called Annihilation Scourge Omega. Matt Rosenberg is doing that. I guess he came off of X-Men and now he's doing that. So there you go. That's what he's busy doing. Absolute Carnage is continuing. That's ending. I'm going to skip that because I don't want to spoil anything. Weapon X looks pretty cool. Right? I want to get... This is too big. Hard to see. So they're doing Captain Marvel, which is pretty cool. They just had an announcement that there's actually going to be like a dark Captain Marvel. Like she goes evil for a little while. So that's an interesting take on her. There we go. And I don't know what happened. I don't know who this is.
Ellie, shh.
Scream?
Emily Lerner.
Oh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think I've read anything by her.
This is a David Nakayama cover. So I do recognize the art and the DNA right there. But as far as writing and it says David Nakayama. So there you go. Chewie's been carnageized. So there's a carnageized cat kicking around.
Cats
Scream, of course. This is a pretty wild cover. Clay McLeod Chaplin. That's a pretty wild cover. Okay, here we go. So here's all your. This is what I want to get to. 2099. So this is all the stuff that's coming out, and there was talk, and actually TiVo talked about it. Yeah, total Beetlejuice face. He says, Comics Misexplains agrees with that. There was talk about 2099, Spidey and Miguel coming over. TiVo was talking about that potentially coming down the road. Unfortunately, with the news we'll talk about in a moment with Marvel and Sony, that may not seem to be the case, and maybe this was like we were talking about with the other ones, with the Fantastic Four and Beta Ray Bill and a Silver Surfer on the cover. These things sort of tend to tie into each other. So it's funny that they had that leak announcement from him, and then this is coming in November. Maybe I'm putting pieces together that don't need to be put together, but that's what I do. Okay, so 2099 checklist. You have Conan, Punisher, Ghost Rider, Doom, all the ones that we remember. I don't see Ravage.
I'm just happy that Spider-Man 2099 is finally coming back, because that book's been gone for a minute.
Yeah.
So I'm completely fine with the thing that's missing. Maybe
Ravager.
that's what. And X-Men.
That's right. Well, there is. I'll get to it in a second. So here's Spidey. Here's Spidey and Miguel. Where is it? There's one cover. It might be this one. Yeah, this one, 2099. And it looks like you have everybody on there. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I think over on the left-hand side, there might be some of the X-Men over there.
Yeah, there are.
And then you have Hulk in the bottom right. We didn't say his name. So yeah, so there is X-Men somewhere. They just, at least right now, haven't announced a solo title for them, or maybe
they're also
it's their book. You know what I mean?
Right,
So,
but we're also getting. It's not just everybody from like the 90s. When they did the Secret Wars 2099 books, we're getting some of those characters too.
Yeah, like this one here.
Yeah, like the Captain America.
That's your Ghost Spider. Yeah, Captain America. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's a good call. There's your Daredevil. Get Daredevil down there.
Nice. I really like that book. I thought that design for the Daredevil character was really cool.
Yeah, a bunch of these were cool. Those design covers. So there you go. 80 years ago, the Marvel Universe was born. 80 years from now, will it die? The future's in peril. Events of Amazing Spider-Man have been leading to this for months. Something's happening in 2099 that spans Nueva York and beyond and will shake up the Marvel future forever. This is not a drill. And somebody was talking about this a while back. Oh, here's your Conan, too. Look at that. 2099, they keep bringing it back. Like, there's been all these other potential futures and they just die, or these other potential universes and they just die, like the new universe or the Star Universe or the Ultimate Universe to some extent. But 2099 is one that they insist on returning to. So I think that's interesting.
It's an offshoot universe, so it can never change.
Yeah.
It's always there.
Well, that 80 more years.
That's Punisher. That's
those characters will all be the current characters.
Yeah, right. This will be a history book.
That Punisher looks sick.
I like this design better than the other one with the red. And
yeah.
This is more like awesome. This looks like Punisher and Crossbones.
Or like he looks like a dark elf.
Yeah, that's right. He's got like an actual skull on his face. See the nose?
Yeah. That's an awesome design. Whoever did that redesign did a good job.
Yeah. We'll see who the artist
even
is.
the knee pads are skulls. That's awesome.
Yeah. I love me some Ron Lim. Don't get me wrong, but this design is very 90s, right?
Is it 90s or is it 2099?
Oh, I see what you did there.
Oh.
So I think that's it. Oh, Fantastic Four. Yeah.
Just regular four, though.
This looks like Humberto Ramos, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The eyes.
Yeah. Let's see.
See who it is.
Ramos. Hey.
Yeah.
Funny we can tell this. Deadpool. There you go. There was a really actually there's a couple more we can go over. Like there's a Mary Jane variant.
Yep.
Nice.
I do like that. Carlos Pacheco, right? David Finch. No, Carlos Gomez. That was close. Okay, this looks pretty cool. It's Morbius.
Yep.
Another Morbius. So there's some Sony stuff. I know Tivo talked about it. There may be the potential Yondu's getting a series for some of the Spidey titles to actually wind down. Depending on what happens with this deal between the two, they may do what they did with Fantastic Four and X-Men and Wolverine for a time, right? They killed off some characters. They didn't have the titles out for a while. So depending on what happens here, because they would still get some of the money from that. Right, some of the licensing fees, or I don't know what the actual money is called. Oh, there's the Carlos Pacheco.
That's pretty crazy.
But they may end up doing that with Spidey. Like I said, depending on what happens, and we could talk about it, I guess, now while we're going through this. But there is still potential for this to somehow work out. There has been some talk about instead of 50-50, more like a 70-30 split, and they may kind of roll out and announce something this weekend at D23. So definitely stay tuned to the news for that. That might happen. This sounds interesting. Punisher, sweet. And if that
Soviet
happens,
Russia,
yeah.
Punisher still kills you.
Got this Kalashnikov, and that's a shotgun. So we'll have to see. Oh, this is written by Garth Ennis, so that will be something worth getting.
Nice.
Anything Garth Ennis, it's going to be crazy and funny and edgy and just cool.
But the Spider-Man Sony thing to me, like, it seemed because Marvel asked for so much, or Disney asked for so much, it seemed like it was just a negotiating tactic.
Right.
Like they're going to ask for way more than they know that they're ever going to get in this situation. So ask for a lot and then be happy when they get like 30% up from their 5%, Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I bet they were sitting there like, okay, hey, Sony, if you don't agree to this, guess what's going to happen? You don't know? Let's show them. And then he looks over and he goes, hey, Justin, go ahead and leak some news over to JLS Comics over on YouTube. So they do. And then the stocks tank and everybody gets pissed off and everyone's like, doing all their nerd rage online, which we've seen the past few days. And then they go back and they're like, see, Sony, it's going to cost you a lot more if you don't go with us. This is a reprint, Marvel Tales, as it's always been.
Yep.
With that Inyuk Lee cover. So that'll be some Strange Tales stories and then Marvel Fanfare. There's your dead Spidey.
It's just a non-adjective Spidey title.
This is the one that's, I believe, we'll get to it in a second, going to be written by J.J. Abrams' son, Henry.
Oh, okay. Hey, I'll get that variant cover.
This one looks cool. Yep, J.J. and Henry. So there you go. There's the 29 cover. MJ. At first I was like, MJ, I don't know. But I had fun playing as her in the PS4 game. So maybe this will be fine too.
Okay. I'm going to let you tell me if that first issue is good.
Yeah. I'm sure I'll read it, digitally.
There's your PS4 Spider-Man.
Yeah. Looks pretty cool. What's called Velocity. Seems like he's going fast. Dennis Hopeless. There's a nice... Is
that on me?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's like a Rockwell.
Rockwell? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're knitting. Look at Miles. That's funny.
I love those shoulder pads, Aunt May.
The entire Spider-Verse is in trouble, including a world where Aunt May got the spider powers, like you saw in Spider-Geddon. So there you go. So there's one cover. This Ghost Spider. There's that.
Did y'all get Ghost Spider this week? Did anybody read Ghost Spider?
No.
No. Okay. I didn't either.
It's on J. Scott Campbell.
There you go. Put that down.
There you go. There's Black Cat 2099.
Nice. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
If she has like a motorcycle, that would be cool too.
Yeah.
A Kira
That
type
flies.
motorcycle.
Yeah, with glowing wheels, like a Tron bike.
Tornado.
That is Campbell again.
Yep.
Right?
Nice.
This is... I don't think that's Campbell.
No, that's not Campbell.
No.
That's not, yeah.
Boom!
There you go. The one I wanted to get to was Black Widow, which I wanted to show you guys this cover. Oh, that's pretty cool.
That's an awesome.
This looks like a 90s Marvel card.
Yeah.
Couple Punisher. That's pretty cool. That's Clayton Crane. Yep. No surprise there. Doom with some Kirby crackle. Where? Okay, we're skipping that. Future Foundation. There you go. They're floating around.
I read the first issue. I'm not 100% on whether or not I'm going to get the second issue. Maybe. Maybe not.
Everybody.
Crossbones Punisher. Yeah. And then Jackie says Jason Burrows art. I'm in. Sweet says, I'm actually not familiar with 2099. Is it a separate universe than the 616? Yes, it is. It has its own Earth designation. It is set in a Earth future, but it is its own universe. The 2099 universe is separate from 616 and separate from 1610. And then is Marvel Star Wars ending in November? I'm not sure. I would imagine not. If anything, they would ramp up for November for the episode 9 release in December, right?
Or if they end, then they would just be putting out another #1. So
yeah, right.
You know,
I don't want to pass by this Adam Hughes cover without commenting on it.
Fair enough.
Well, there's Saturday Night Special. There's more Negative Zone, more Annihilus. Plays right into my theories.
I don't think I'm going to like that Negative Zone.
Yeah. Oh, here it is. Okay. Check out this cover. For some reason, I really like it. Web of Black Widow. There you go. Nice, right? Simple.
She's in trouble.
She's sinking.
Bondage cover.
Basically, yeah.
Classic
isn't it nice?
Wonder Woman. Yeah.
Other than the brutality of it.
She now becomes Houdini.
That's
yeah.
Cool. That's a cool cover there too.
This one here? Yeah. DD's on it.
Oh, it says on the screen that it's trending. Under the trending now over here, it says Marvel Star Wars series ending in November.
Oh, right there. Yeah. I'm like, what? Oh, we'll take a look at that. We'll go ahead and explore that. And I think that's pretty much it. Immortal Hulk, a lot of people were like, it's ending at 25.
Not so. 26, here we come.
And 27.
Oh, there we go.
26 said Bruce Banner's just getting started. So
yeah. And there's your 2099 Hulk.
The Minotaur's back.
Look at this guy.
What? Starbrand Hulk?
That's a pretty powerful Hulk.
That would be a very, yeah. I don't want to fight that Hulk.
Man.
Wow, classic.
There you go.
Dale Kuhn. Kill Crew. That looks pretty cool.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. The Black Knight. He's on that report.
This looks like the same cover from Agents of Atlas, but Valkyrie.
Yep.
And no swords.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, that's pretty much it for what's coming out. Oh, this is cool. For what's coming out in November of 2019 from 2019 from Marvel. Yeah. They put this solicitation out way in the future. That's a nice Electra.
Yeah.
Oh, here's the evil.
Ooh.
Check that out.
Yeah,
that's a cool design.
Oh,
Mark Brooks.
Wow, she beat up all the Avengers.
Yeah.
Spider-Man's
Pretty cool,
still
right?
okay.
Yeah, he hasn't torn his mask open this time.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. She looks kind of like Adam Warlock. Her skin has that yellow tint to it.
Yeah. Let's see what it says. Captain Marvel has fought off alien hordes, rescued X-Men, punched Thanos in the face, saved the world. She's now got her greatest challenge, which is to kill the Avengers. How has one of the world's most powerful heroes gone dark? And why? And what does this mean for Carol and the world? Life on Earth will never be the same. It's with Kelly Thompson. So there you go. That's a cool new thing to do with it's like
Hero turn them evil.
Yeah, they do that. Like they did that with Captain America. You know, they turned them evil. They turned them over to Hydra. Miss Explained says evil Captain Marvel looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
Jason Aaron's doing a good job on Avengers. Yeah. So there you go. All right. And there's more history. Old Man Quill is continuing.
Almost done.
Let's go ahead and tab over here for a minute and see what this is. Our series is ending. So the Star Wars proper series, according to a solicitation from the publisher, Greg Pak and Noto's Star Wars 75 will be the final issue of the series, which started in 2015. There's no indication from another mainline book in the future. But I mean, it is interesting timing because you do have the Rise of Skywalker coming out like the next month, a month from that.
What happened?
This is the last issue. Okay. Does it say it? Final issue. Yep. Final issue. It's a trap.
It's a trap. Yep. Nice.
So, yeah. I have a hard time believing there won't be more Star Wars titles. You know, they're going to be announcing.
They'll give it to like IDW.
They could, yeah, but you know they're gonna have all the stuff with Disney Plus. You know, there might be a Mandalorian comic book, or you know, some of these other ones.
Is it IDW that I'm thinking about? Am I right? They're doing the Marvel books.
Yeah, they have an agreement, a publishing agreement with Marvel. So they did some of the younger demographic stuff, like you know, Star Wars Adventures. They did something like that. They did like a mini comic.
They had more Marvel books come out for IDW than regular IDW books this week.
Really?
Yeah. There's like 4 or 5 that were Marvel titled under IDW. It was weird. Weird. But like we said, this whole week was just a weird feeling new comic book day anyway. So
Strike Force is interesting.
Yeah. Angela. Spider-Woman. I mean, a lot of these books I want to try out, but I just don't really see that a lot of them are going to, like, it's like when Marvel does big initiatives, they'll throw out several books and half of them will be gone by issue 8.
More Runaways, yeah. So there's a lot of stuff. This looks pretty cool, actually.
Daredevil's been so good. If you're not reading it, everybody, you need to get on it.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff coming out. Like you said, hopefully some of it will last, but not all of it will. More Conan. Oh wow, look at that. That's cool.
Man-Bat made his way over to Conan. That's crazy.
Yeah. Jumping streams. Valeria, that's cool.
Valeria.
They did Bella, and they're doing Valeria. So that's good. There's the Vader book.
Yep.
Target Vader. And weren't they going to do, or maybe it was a novel, Alphabet Company? 74. So, okay. So that pretty much wraps up the show here. I wanted to finish with this. We did talk about the Sony Disney Marvel deal. Did you want to add anything else to that? You know, I know. Look at that.
No, I mean, I think that conventional thinking is that it's just a negotiation tactic, and they're going to figure it out. Just because, I mean, Spider-Man's too big of a character for both companies right now that they're going to come to some type of agreement. It just only makes sense. So, you know, I agree. I think that's just a bargaining chip that they did, and maybe they, you know, kind of went ahead and decided to go ahead and leak it out just for the fact that they like, all right, now you have to make an agreement. So what do we got? Let's talk real numbers. So
yeah, exactly.
I
And
mean, that's the same way I feel. It's like there's too much money on the table for them both to walk away from it because they know that the character is stronger with both of them behind it.
right.
So they'll make a deal.
yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully. Oops, you can't see the title. Yeah. And the big thing, and it's kind of funny, but Tom Holland and Zendaya both unfollowed Sony on social media. So that says, I don't know. But I think it is a negotiation tactic, and I'm holding out hope that we'll see or hear something at D23, which of course is this weekend. So I was telling Chris, I don't know if you heard, I was telling Justin and the folks listening and watching that I'm going to be on vacation next week, but we do have D23, and obviously a lot of news will be coming out of that. So I do want to do something. I don't know if it'll be like this format or some type of show in some way, shape, or form. But I do want to make sure that we get that, covered in a timely manner. So trying to figure out something we'll be able to do for next week. So there's that. But I guess with that in mind, what do you guys have coming up over the next week? Anything new or exciting? More videos?
Yes, I have. So I went to basically the Boston Fan Expo last weekend, and the weekend before I went to Terrificon, and just have a bunch of stuff to show as far as stuff I got signed, stuff I picked up. So I will have those videos coming. I honestly had a feeling that it was going to be tough to try to get both of those done within that point, just because usually I try to, if I have a big video, a haul video, whatever, try to do it on the weekend. And as soon as it got to the point where it's just like, oh, okay, going to Fan Expo, it's just like that ain't happening. I really wanted to go ahead and I had intentions of doing it last Sunday, but it was just too tired, so I just decided to put it off until I have a little bit more time. So that will be coming though. I will show the books I got signed, and then the books that also I picked up. So I had a great time at Fan Expo. It was really, really fun. So I'm excited to show off those books. So that's definitely something to look forward to on my channel.
All right, cool.
Yeah, same thing. Like we said at the beginning, I actually did put out some haul videos. I got caught up on everything. So check those out if you haven't already. I'd appreciate it. And, more stuff coming as usual. And I actually kind of put out feelers about what type of videos I should be making.
Oh, yeah.
It's always good to see what people want, So that's pretty much where mine's at. So yeah,
I'm
watching.
waiting for another beard video.
Huh?
I'm still waiting for another beard video.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we need to do another follow-up on that. So many characters.
Yeah. Exactly. So yeah.
Those are a lot of fun to make too.
Yeah. I have a couple of videos I'm scheduling out for next week. So I won't be able to make them, but they'll be publishing throughout the week. So a lot of stuff on the way. And that is it, everybody. This is Comic Conversation. Thank you if you were here with us in the chat with your additions to the conversation, questions, corrections, all that good stuff. We do get a lot of people listening later. I guess there's some good stuff on TV. So if you are listening to us in the morning, good morning, Spider Slayer, by the way. Feel free to leave us a comment. Let us know what your thoughts on any of these topics, and be happy to continue that conversation down there. A couple quick things to say. Definitely check out Boston Chris Comics and Exile State Comics here on YouTube. Watch their new shows, their content they just teased, and give them a sub as well. And definitely check out comicbooks.com. All the greatest news going up all throughout the week. And of course, Monday, Justin puts out the new comic list so that you can bring it to your shops and pick up all the books you want. You don't want to miss anything, right? So take his list. It's a good list. I like his list. So, yeah. All right, guys. Have a good night, everybody. And thanks for being here for this episode of Comic Conversation with, and hey, now I can say it, the Warriors 3 on Thursday.
Have a good one, everybody. Thanks.
Yeah.
We made it.